millions
what
of
is this?
dead
What is this?
children.
I have friends whose kids
Please let
died.
him
You don't
finish
care.
what he was
He
saying.
doesn't care. As long as he admits he doesn't give a fuck about the dead kids. That's okay.
You know
As long
what,
as he doesn't
Destiny?
care.
You don't give a
Admit it.
fuck about the
Admit
dead
it.
kids, do you?
Admit it. I do.
Because you
I
thought
don't
it was
have to fund
funny.
these things.
You thought it
Because
was
I'm not
funny.
the one voting to take money away from
You
these
thought
things.
it was funny to go on X and talk about,
Piers,
I heard God killed those kids.
Hey everyone, today we're taking a look at a clip from Piers Morgan. Now, Morgan had this liberal political commentator and streamer named Destiny on his show. Destiny tweeted some pretty heinous things about the victims of the floods in Texas, and Piers goes ahead and confronts him on it. So let's see.
Pretty sure that was under Trump. So if you want to blame anybody for the censorship, it would have been Trump. I know that
Let
we
me
all
ask
have
you a
amnesia
question,
over
Destiny.
who's president there. But
Destiny, I want to ask you a question. So a woman called Kylie Jane Kramer posted on X, I've been trying to wrap my head around how the flooding in Texas became so devastating so quickly. Why not evacuate? Then I saw this. Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick said the Guadalupe River rose 26 feet in just 46 minutes around 4 a.m. That doesn't even seem natural, to which you reposted this and you put your own words. I heard God killed those kids because they were using NordVPN, promo code Destiny, to get around the Texas porn ban. On reflection, do you think that was grotesquely tasteless thing to be posting?
absolutely not.
Just imagine the sort of deranged mind you have to come up with that tweet in light of people and children dying in a terrible flood in Texas. Destiny's mind is clearly one track, and that track seems to be salacious adult material, but it almost defies belief that somebody who I guess is now a public figure would come up with that as a response to a natural disaster. In any case, he appears totally unrepentant, which is really not surprising, but let's see what else he has to say about the tweet.
Hand wringing, the hand wringing here. Oh my God, stop! If you want to talk about dead children, then you should talk about the residents of Kerr County who rejected using ARPA funds to build the very siren system that Ted Cruz was over here virtue signaling about. Now that the kids are dead, last I checked, the siren system isn't bringing anybody back to life. Okay, the very same system that they could have built for the better part of the last decade. They didn't want to touch those ARPA funds because they thought that if they did, Biden would go and steal their homes, which is the exact same lie that was told in North Carolina when people were rejecting FEMA funds because they thought that if the government was giving them money for their houses, they'd steal it. If you want to talk about grotesque and ghoulish things that are being said,
it's what you put online. I agree with you. It's what you run online. It is grotesque. It's disgusting. But I mean, I guess that's what you do.
How long have people like you? How long have people like you told us that if we spend less money in Ukraine, you guys are going to spend more money investing in things like infrastructure in the United States? Where is that money going?
Oh, we just had another
massive debt increase. Another massive debt increase for more tax cuts for wealthy people. Congratulations. Thank you so much.
All right, let me get a Ben.
Before Piers goes to Ben, I want to say this is very difficult to watch because Destiny is approaching the topic of dead children with a sort of unhinged glee that he has a new pawn in his political arguments. It's really disturbing, and clearly none of the other panelists are having it.
Deficit doing?
Don't talk over each other.
How's our deficit doing? Is it going up or down?
Don't talk over each other. But just to be clear, Destiny, you don't.
No answers. Just to be clear,
Destiny.
I'm going to talk.
Please stop talking.
I'm not going to sit here and argue about jokes when these guys are spreading lies that are leading to the actual destruction of these. Oh, except you guys do when it happens in LA when it's about the wildfires. You guys make jokes when politicians are getting killed in Minnesota.
Go look at my ex account.
Just the rest of your party is. Just the rest of your party is.
Don't talk over each other because we can't hear you.
All right. Yeah. Okay.
All right. But Destiny.
Destiny has truly one of the most annoying debate styles I have ever seen. It consists of fast talking, it consists of making smug faces, and it consists of talking over people instead of engaging in mutual conversation. It's really quite amusing how Piers Morgan just sort of lets him ramble and dig his own grave.
just to be
say a
clear,
couple things here.
Destiny, just to be clear, you don't regret posting, I heard God killed those kids because they were using NordVPN
I'm not going to sit here and argue
to get
about
around the
jokes on
Texas
Twitter.
porn ban.
Well, you allow the very same misinformation to spread on this program that leads to people not putting up siren systems, okay, because they think that Biden is going to go steal their homes.
That wasn't my question.
I think it is absolutely insane.
Wasn't my question.
I think it's insane that you want to go and hand-wring liberals over jokes that are not even half as crazy as some of the things these conservatives say.
Okay, but just to be clear, you don't regret doing it.
There's no tweet like that out there.
Just to be clear, Destiny,
absolutely not.
Just to be clear, you don't regret posting it.
No, absolutely
Okay,
not.
Ben Ferguson.
Piers.
So typically, when people who are a little bit more media savvy don't want to answer a question directly, they'll sort of build a bridge to their preferred talking point. But Destiny was trained in the arena of online streaming and debating, so he doesn't even do that. He just relentlessly repeats the same sentence over and over at louder volumes and with an increasingly incredulous expression.
A couple things here that I think there's proper information that should get out there. This is an area that I go to often. It's an area that I've taken my kids dozens and dozens of times. It's a very small rural community. When it rains there's always flooding because there's a lot of rock in the ground and the water doesn't absorb in the ground. So you have flash floodings that happen very quickly. I've been there when this happens. This was a once in a lifetime 100-year flood. If you want to know about the funding for the system, it's an extremely small community and the price tag for it is very, very big compared to the tax base that they have in this small community. It is not because of the Matt Boone stuff this guy's talking about. That is not why the community decided 6 years ago to not do it, even though they wanted to. It was a cost issue. What's going to happen now is you're going to have state funds and federal funds, and that system will happen. But go back to this once in a lifetime flood that took place. No one could have prepared or thought this was going to happen. People bought homes on a river where there was constant flooding, where they're built high enough up that flooding has never gotten there before in the history of their lifetime. So this is a tragedy that took place. And by the way, this is personal because I know people who lost children. There are funerals that are taking place.
Just to be clear, you're saying that there are
talking about a funeral for a second?
You're saying
let him finish,
like 15 times. So
what a moment to interrupt. Why on earth would you interject when someone is telling a personal story about people they know dying in a flood and attending funerals? Totally bizarre.
You're saying there are no citizens saying that they don't want to use the American Rescue Plan funds. They didn't want to use that money because they thought Biden would take their homes. I'm
going to go back to what I said.
That transcript doesn't exist?
Can you let Ben finish, given he was talking about the funerals of dead children?
I have friends whose kids
Please let him finish what he was saying.
He doesn't care. As long as he admits he doesn't give a fuck about the dead kids. That's okay.
You know what, Destiny? You don't give a fuck about the dead kids, do you?
Admit it. I do.
Because you thought it was funny. You thought it was funny.
I'm not the one voting to take money away from these things.
You thought it was funny to go on X and talk about, I heard God killed those kids because they weren't using a NordVPN to get around the Texas porn ban. That is disgusting. You're the one using dead children in a grotesque manner. So let me just lay that down for the record.
Just to be clear, let me lay it down as well. How many people did my joke kill?
So, of course, jokes on Twitter don't kill people, but that's not an accusation that anyone was levying. What they were saying was that making a joke of that sort while bodies were still being found seems to suggest that Destiny doesn't really care about the victims of the flood, or their suffering, or their family's suffering. Instead, he's using them as a political tool to advance his agenda. But, of course, it's easier to attack a straw man than it is to respond to the substance of your opponent's arguments.
No, it's just disgustingly tasteless.
Exactly.
You're a sick man.
And then how many kids died because there's no siren system? Because people like this guy over here made up the lie that Biden was going to steal your homes if you accept the American Rescue Plan. If you accept American Rescue Plan money. Exactly.
I never made that up.
The difference is
I would like to hear Ben finish the story he was telling us when he was talking about the funerals of dead children.
It looks like Destiny just took a sip from a Red Bull, and if there's one thing that this man does not need, it is more stimulants. I mean, he is talking at breakneck speed. It makes me laugh how when he says something totally absurd, sometimes everyone else on the panel will get quiet and kind of step back to marvel at the insanity of the statement. And Destiny gets this smug look on his face, like, aha, you know, I've just rendered my opponent stunned into silence.
Let me finish that, please.
Would it be nice if we didn't have the funerals? Wouldn't that be better?
Can we mute him?
Rather than you talking about why you were right to crack a sick joke. Ben.
Okay. I go back to the point here. This flood did not ask if you were liberal or conservative, rich or poor, black or white, or anything else in between. People lost their lives, and many people lost their lives trying to save kids in an unprecedented flood. If we could go back, I'm sure this community would have said, we'll figure out a way to have the money. You're dealing with an area that has a lot of volunteer first responders and firefighters. Can I finish, please? Like, maybe you'll learn something and not be such a tool.
You just lie.
You don't live there. You don't know. You've never been there. I've been there. I've talked to people. You don't know anybody that died in this flood. You're a POS. That's who you are. I would like to finish my point, Piers.
Finish it, Ben.
Thank you. There are people that died in this flood helping try to save the lives of others. There are elderly that died. I know people that lost children in this flood. They would love to go back and have a different warning system. By the way, we don't know if the warning system would have changed anything at all. The warnings came out early. Unfortunately, there's spotty cell phone there. Everyone's talked about this. I'm sure there's people in the community that wish they would have maybe done something different in the past. Hindsight's 2020. But to say that the community decided not to do this because of some insane theory you've come up with, which is not true or based in fact. It was based on a small rural community with not a lot of tax base and a very expensive price tag for something. And for you to sit here and to somehow decide that this is a place to say something so sick. I'm assuming you don't have kids. I have 6-year-old and 8-year-old kids. If you talk to parents that are planning their child's funerals are happening tomorrow and the next day here in Houston, I think you would have a little bit of a soul and a heart for them. But instead, you're out here putting this crap out there. And it's really sad. I hope you get help.
I mean, I think what you're seeing with Destiny's response is what you're seeing with a lot of people who believe that man-made catastrophic climate change was responsible for the flooding. These people conceive of natural disasters and weather events almost as punishments for not agreeing with certain liberal principles. I mean, the whole rhetoric of man-made climate change is rife with Mother Earth punishing us for our misdeeds and getting revenge. It's a philosophy which really doesn't care about human beings, as you can see in the tweet which Destiny sent, which he obviously still has not apologized for. But what do you think of the tweet? Be sure to let me know in the comments section below. Give this video a like, hit subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.